Thank you for joining me for Connecting with Your Intuition. I am your webinar host, Dr. Diane Rosina Jones. I'm the founder and CEO of TransformNLife Institute. I appreciate you taking the time out today to join me. I hope that you have your journal available and a pen. Throughout this webinar, there will be some thought provoking questions. I'd love for you to answer those. I find that when we take the time to answer thought provoking questions honestly, it will lead to insight and new awareness going forward so that you may actually be able to not only just enjoy the webinar, but to put it into practice, to make it a part of your life. And that begins with actually knowing where you're at in comparison to what we're presenting today. So, I'm going to give you a few moments. If you have not already grabbed your journal, do so right now and come right back to me. I'm going to give you a moment to do that. Great. So I hope that you are all back with me now. I do want to do some housekeeping notes. This webinar is automated. So that means that since it is not live, we will not be taking any questions or opening up the chat room or sharing any polls or anything like that at this time. However, I do want you to reach out to me after the webinar, certainly for additional information, for coaching. If you have questions, suggestions, comments, I will give you several ways at the end of the webinar in which you can reach out to me. So, no worries because you'll have more than enough opportunities for us to conversate in regards to this topic after the fact because we really do want it to be about transforming lives, not just giving out information that serves no purpose, that cannot be um, practical. Practical, that is so spiritually minded that it's no earthly good. If, so, what I want to do is start out by giving you. Let me take a moment and tell you a little bit about me. I am a spiritual life coach, spiritual teacher, and motivational speaker. I have been coaching, teaching, and speaking for 20 years. I am a published author of 5 books, 4 nonfiction inspirational books, and 1 romantic fantasy. I'm in the process of writing book number 6. It should be released for my birthday in August. I'm excited about that. So I should say finishing up the writing. It should be to the editor by next week and to the distributor um, the week after, and then available for release the week after that. So I am the founder and CEO of 2 companies, Transform Life Institute LLC and Royal Treasures Publishing LLC. I am the host of blog talk radio show Becoming Who I Am. I have an office in Kennesaw, Georgia, where we offer monthly self improvement workshops also. If you live in the Atlanta area, please plan to join me once a month on a Saturday from 10 to 2 and receive some invaluable material that will help to transform your life, one thought at a time. I hold a Bachelor of Science degree in psychology from Morgan State University. I also have another bachelor's and a master's degree in metaphysical science. And let me tell you a little bit about metaphysics. Metaphysics is a traditional branch of philosophy, actually, that studies the relationship between mind and matter. However, my doctorate degree is actually one of theology. So, my doctorate is in metaphysical psychology, which brings my metaphysical studies and my studies in psychology together. This involves looking at the particular way that an individual interprets their reality. So that's what metaphysical psychology does. It looks at a particular way that an individual interprets their reality. So, my degree allows me to specialize in educational counseling, teaching, writing, and ministry by applying higher metaphysical spiritual truths to improve life, love, success, and happiness. I am not a psychologist, nor do I provide spiritual counseling. I see metaphysics as the search for truth, purpose, and meaning in life, which I believe can be found through spiritual questions and personal experience. So, when I say that, what I'm referring to is I believe that all of our answers, our search for truth, purpose, and meaning in life can be found when we take our personal experience and we apply the spiritual questions to that personal experience. Okay? By doing that, so what I do as a spiritual coach is it allows me to guide each client to ask the right questions, you see, concerning all situations, and then find their own answer or come to their own conclusions. Let me tell you a little bit about Transforming Life Institute as well. Transforming Life is an organization of higher learning designed to facilitate inner transformation, that's mind, spirit, soul, and body, in the lives of all who are eager to reach their highest potential through life coaching, life classes, workshops, webinars, seminars, conferences, retreats, and publications. We also consider Transforming Life to be a movement in the sense that we are here to encourage, empower, and unite consciously aware individuals and to equip them with the insight that they need to transform their lives and the lives of everyone around them, one thought at a time. So that is actually our motto, transform in life one thought at a time. I'm going to add this here too, why I came up with transforming life or how it came to me. I've always been a coach, teacher, speaker at heart. Always. Always. That has always been my passion. And probably 20 years, over 20 years ago, I was drawn into fields of work of work where it either involved teaching or training on some level, speaking or coaching on some level, you see. And then there was this spiritual component because I was born and raised in the church. I have 30 years of experience in traditional Christianity, and I was an ordained minister, an elder in Christianity for more than a decade. So, I also actually I do have a ministerial license, so to speak, under the heading of metaphysics. So, from the University of Metaphysics, where I received my bachelor's and master's, I was also awarded a metaphysical practitioner's license, which allows me to do my life coaching, right? I was awarded a ministerial license, which allows me to do the spiritual aspect of metaphysics, and the doctorate allows me to teach. So I've covered everything, and that was synchronicity at its highest, the way that my life has kind of come full circle, that everything that I love to do that I am doing and I have been enabled to do, and all that I didn't know how to do, I was taught how to do and I learned how to do. Oh, we're going to talk about that because that has to do with intuition. That is why this is one of my number one courses to teach. Why I was excited to do this webinar first, because if I had not been able to tap into my own intuition, the the last, I would say, if I had not been able to tap into my intuition, the last 11 years of my life would not have taken place. I started tapping into my intuition, I would say, about 22 years ago. Prior to that, I was ignoring and blocking it. Okay, we're going to talk about that. So I have always known that I was an intuitive being. So I've always known. I knew when I was a child. I didn't know what to do with what I knew. It frightened me. I would feel some kind of way. As I got older, I just blocked it because it was calling me to my highest self and I was not ready to perform at that level. Okay, come on now. I've already got into it and we haven't even got to the table of contents. In my 20s, I blocked my intuition because it will always call you to perform at your highest potential. It would always cause you to walk in that path and that purpose for which you were created. I wasn't ready to do any of that. I blocked and ignored it. And then I found that in my 30s, I began to listen. Ah, and then in my 40s, I begin to act. Oh, come on now. So if you want to know my story, you'll have to start buying my books and we could talk offline. But I am hoping that this course, which will be a flagship course for me and a flagship webinar that will be available for all to partake of even after today, that it will help others to not do what I did, to not ignore during your 20s and then begin to listen during your 30s, but you're afraid to act, and then take until your 40s before you will act. I hope that this webinar will reach the hearts and the minds of a 20-year-old today, and that today they will begin to hear and they will begin to listen. And today they will begin to act. And today they will see manifestation occur and synchronicity occur in their lives. Okay, that's the ministerial part of me coming out. You may have to leave me an offering, but I will consider that you've already paid the offering since you're listening to this webinar because it is not free. Okay, now let me reel it back in and we will get to our table of content. Today, the areas that we are going to cover during this webinar are the following. What is intuition? Why do we ignore our intuition? Why should we tap into our intuition? What happens when we tap into our intuition? How to tap into our intuition? Meditation dynamics, ways intuition makes itself known, blocking, ignoring our intuition, how to know when we are connected, the struggle of the highly intuitive, how do we keep our connection, and 5 minutes before bedtime. Okay, so I hope you're ready. Journals ready. If you have your favorite beverage before you, that coffee, that tea, maybe a little something more, that's all good as well.